so welcome to the September Q&A. What I wanted to do is go over some questions relating to software and applications that I use to run my company. I'll be talking about apps that are on both my iPad as well as on my phone, and then software that is on my computer that I use, and then some apps too that might be on the computer as well. So I'm going to be referring to my phone, so don't mind me if I'm looking down. I kind of organize them by type, so design and illustration is what we're going to start with first. So almost, I want to say like 2 years ago now, I transitioned from using Adobe products to the Serif products, Affinity. So Affinity Designer was my replacement for Illustrator, Affinity Photo was my replacement for Photoshop, and Affinity Publisher was essentially my replacement for InDesign. So the reason I transitioned was just that while I worked with Adobe products for many, many years, both professionally and as a student and as an instructor teaching how to use the software, as a freelancer, just over the years, the increase in the cost of using the software has gone up exponentially. As we know, Adobe went to the subscription-based model, and I just couldn't justify the cost of the entire subscription. When we look at it over an extended period of time, I'm paying 2-3 times the amount to basically just borrow the software. Some people are die-hard Adobe fans and some people are die-hard Affinity. I can work in both. I found that it's important to be able to utilize different types of software. But what I like about Affinity is that I can still export files in formats that people who utilize Adobe products can use. So if I'm working with clients or if I'm selling a product online on a site like Creative Market, I can export some of these files as PSDs or EPS files so that they can be opened in Adobe products. The cost was a major factor for me. I got all of the software, all three of them, for about $150 US. And then the other game changer for me is that their iPad versions are just top notch. They're not, they're not like watered down versions of the software. They are the full blown utility just on the iPad on the go. So I really like being able to work between my iPad and my desktop. It just makes it really functional and easy and convenient. So I made the transition. I haven't looked back. The software is fantastic. It is not nearly as buggy as, and other people may have different experiences, but at least for me, it's not as buggy when I'm working on big projects like what I had with Adobe. But overall, you can figure out what you're able to afford or pay for, or what makes the most sense for you based on the industries that you work the most with. And I found that Affinity has been a great transition. And if you know Adobe products, it's going to be super simple for you to get used to the Affinity software. I have actually a lot of skillshare classes that kind of teach you the ins and outs of Affinity, like Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, Affinity Publisher, and some of the iPad apps. So definitely give those a look. You guys get free links to all of my Skillshare classes, so definitely check out the tag Skillshare, and you should be able to access some of those if you're interested in kind of dabbling. They do have free trials. You just got to go to the Affinity like serif.com website, and you'll be able to try them out before you buy them. It's been like the best decision I've made for my professional work in terms of what I'm doing with software. I also use, when it comes to the iPad for illustration, I solely work in Procreate. I do illustrate also in Affinity Photo on my desktop and on my iPad, and you can do vector illustration as well on Affinity Designer for the iPad. I just love the flexibility of being able to use the Apple Pencil, and of course Procreate is top notch when it comes to kind of getting the sort of real life feel of the tactile illustration on pen, like with regular paper and pencil. You can kind of mimic that with Procreate, and then I have on top of my iPad the Procreate, like the paper-like screen cover, just because some people are fine with it. Me, I can't. I feel like I don't have as much control when I'm using the glass screen protector because it's too slippery. Some people add like little nibs to their pencils, and I just like the screen protector that basically kind of gives it a tactile, rougher feel to the screen, so that it feels like paper. That's why they call it paper-like. So, and then I also use my Cricut design space on my iPad a lot, because like I said, sometimes I'm just working on the go and I'm maybe illustrating ideas for like sticker packs and other products that will be like a print and cut on Procreate, and then taking them into Affinity Photo or Affinity Designer and exporting the files to PNGs that I can then upload really seamlessly to Cricut design space right on my iPad, send it to my printer, and then cut it on my Cricut. So it just makes my workflow super simple. Now I want to jump into productivity and like scheduling apps that I use. Most of these apps I have on both my iPhone as well as on my iPad. So Trello is a big one. I'll link my Trello video. I have a tutorial over on YouTube on how I use Trello for mapping out ideas and deadlines for product launches and for marketing and things like that for my small business. So Trello is like my go-to. I have it on my phone so that I can manage projects on the go. I have it on my iPad, and then of course I can access it on my desktop. I use Google Calendar. Again, I kind of sync the two. So whatever is in my Trello, I'm going to update it on my calendar, and my Google Calendar is connected to my iCalendar, so I always have access to it on my phone, so I know what's due, what appointments I have, track of all of that on my phone through these two apps, and then I have access to them throughout all of my devices, including my desktop and my iPad. I also use Google Docs and Google Drive a ton, whether it's sending files over email to clients or any type of like project collaborators, or if I'm working on contracts and invoices and stuff like that, I actually have templates that I've created that are really professional in Google, in my Google Docs and my Google Drive, and I just have to go in and edit them, make a copy, save it, download the PDF and send it out, or just send a link to it, and then link it to whatever payment app I'm using for that specific client. I also use the iOS to-do list a ton. Sometimes I'll have like things that I need to do the following day or throughout the week, and what I like to do is also use the to-do list. And basically my to-do list is just like the reminders app on the iOS option for Apple, and I just kind of list out the things that I know I need to do this week, base it off of whatever I have in my calendar, and then it's just something that I have at a glance, and then it'll pop up and give me reminders throughout the week or when something is due. And then the other thing I utilize is GoodNotes. I have GoodNotes on my phone as well as GoodNotes on my iPad, but I use it mostly on my iPad. You can use it on the phone. It's basically just like a copy version of whatever you have on your iPad. You can copy it over onto your phone, but it has all the same functionalities. It's just smaller. Personally, I like working bigger, so I like using it on my iPad, but some people might like working smaller, and it's really just a productivity tool. I personally design products for GoodNotes, so that's why I have to have it, because I have to test my products that I launch. So I design planners and digital stickers and stuff like that, and of course I like to test them out and use them myself so that I can create like previews of what you can create with the items, and just so that I know the ins and outs of the software. Now I want to jump into social media and marketing. There are 3 key apps that I utilize that are my go-to. I'm trying to take a break from social media, being on Facebook and Twitter and all those things. So I've been doing this since before that, but I use something called Hootsuite, and it's basically an automator. It allows you to pre-schedule posts for your social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Those are the 3 things that I use the most and that I have linked to my account, and it allows me to I can sit in one go and plan out a month's worth of content and not have to worry about it. And you can add Pinterest even to this, and that's probably what I'm going to do, because I don't use Twitter as much anymore, so I'm thinking of removing my Twitter and just using Pinterest, Instagram, and my Facebook, and it's just something that you don't have to worry about. You would suggest, though, with Instagram, especially because of the algorithm, you have to like comment and go in as you can. But for me personally, just because I've been trying to like take some time away from social media, this makes it a lot easier to still be active. I also utilize Planoly for Instagram, so I can plan out visually the grid so that, you know, the color schemes and all the different items that I'm posting look good together. I do most of the illustrative stuff, so, and like photos of my products, so I'm trying to make it so that it's a nice cohesive theme, and Planoly really helps with that. And then finally, for marketing, I do a lot of email marketing because I do run e-commerce shops and e-commerce based type sell e-commerce based type products. So MailChimp is my go-to when it comes to email marketing. I actually have a video as well on how I actually use and create newsletters and like marketing funnels. So I'll link that as well in the little like write-up with this video. But it's definitely a great tool. It's free for up to 2,000 subscribers. I'm not at that point yet. I only have a few hundred. I'm still a very small bean, and I just started really focusing on it though this past January. The last two things kind of relate to money. So first, my shop type like apps. So I sell on Etsy, and then there is an app. It's not just the Etsy app. The Etsy app is to like buy. But for people who sell on Etsy, their app is called Sell on Etsy, and it's just, again, you can load photos, you can launch products. I usually do everything from my desktop because it's just easier for me because it's part of my workflow. But if I was, you know, on the go and taking photos with my phone, and you could do the whole thing from your phone. You can track all of your marketing, you can track your analytics and things like that on this app. I also have the Patreon app, of course, on my phone. Just again, it's easy for on-the-go work. If I have to share a poll or put a post up or use the Patreon lens, I can do it directly from my phone. And then I also have the YouTube Studio app on both my phone and my iPad. And again, same kind of thing for loading videos, scheduling, checking on analytics, answering comments. Maybe I have to revise or edit something that I put up on my desktop, but I'm not at it anymore. I can use my phone or I can use my iPad to update. And then for payment methods, whether it's client work that I'm working on, or if I'm selling on Etsy, or if if anything in the future, if all of this COVID stuff goes away at some point, like if we ever do in-person events and stuff like that. And I've done a couple little small things when I was running my kids wear line, but I use Zelle for invoicing and things like that, as well as PayPal. I can send an invoice and people can pay me directly through PayPal. If they don't want to send a check or give cash, they can just do transfers between banks with Zelle and PayPal. And of course there's Venmo. I have an account with them just because often you have to give clients options. And then Square I would use for in-person like events, and basically I have the little Square reader and you can swipe cards and things like that with it. I have 2 of those for the future if we ever do like in-person events again. So those are the kind of like 2 things related to the shop and e-commerce and retail and money related things. And then finally I wanted to highlight 2 apps that I use a ton. One because I teach on it, and both of them because I'm all about professional development. I'm a lifelong learner. I truly believe in the power of education. And so these 2 apps are Skillshare, of course, and iTunes U. So basically Skillshare, if you don't already know, it's a platform that has tons of different creatives or creators, makers of all sorts, and they release classes based on the specific thing that they are experts in. So myself, I release a ton of classes relating to graphic design, illustration, crafting using things like the Mink machine or my Cricut, digital planning, so creating digital stickers, creating digital planners, stuff like that, and then fashion because my past corporate history was working in the fashion industry for accessories and retail brands. So I have classes on Skillshare. That's a big reason why I'm on Skillshare, because I teach on them and it's one of my revenue streams. But I also love Skillshare because, like I said, I am a lifelong learner. If I am doing something, I like to experiment, learn new things, and Skillshare allows me to do that. So I have Skillshare, the app on my phone, and of course I have it on my iPad, and then you can access it through the desktop. But again, I love being able to find new courses related to things that I'm interested in, and Skillshare is just fantastic. So I highly, highly, highly suggest it. Usually the links that I share with you guys for my classes only let you see my classes, but if you're ever interested in trying Skillshare out for 2 weeks, just let me know. You can get a free premium link. I'll just share it in my write-up down here as well. But basically, you'll get 2 weeks of premium Skillshare for free. But yes, try it out. I love it. If you're already on it, you know what I'm talking about. Now, iTunes U is basically podcasts, and but it's from major universities, and it's basically like classes that you can listen to on your phone. It's so cool. They have classes from Harvard and Yale. They have classes on web design. They have classes on sociology. They have classes on humanities. There's all kinds of really interesting courses from major colleges all over the world that you can access through iTunes U. So again, like I said, I am a lifelong learner, and I just love learning new things and taking those new things and applying them to my life or to the work that I do, or just to learn about something new and interesting and have something to listen to while I'm working that isn't like Netflix in the background. So I definitely suggest checking out iTunes U and Skillshare if you're looking for stuff relating to like professional development and you work in the creative world. So that is this month's Q&A. I hope you guys found some of these apps useful and helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you again for your support. Bye.